Ever felt misunderstood at work? Or maybe you've struggled to get your point across in a meeting? I know it may feel like it, but you're not alone. Effective workplace communication is something we all struggle with. But luckily for us, it's a skill that can be learned and developed. And mastering it can transform your career. It will help you speak effectively and confidently while strengthening personal and professional relationships. In this video, I'll be sharing 5 game-changing techniques to help you develop stronger and more efficient professional communication skills, helping you sound more confident, more persuasive, and impactful at work. You'll also find that I've put a few free documents related to this subject in the description below. Feel completely free to download them to start implementing those communication strategies right away. Work is where most of us spend most of our time. Usually more than 8 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. And yet, it is often where the most stress is accumulating, the place we feel less comfortable in, and often it is a direct result of miscommunication. As Marcus Velasquez says in his video, ineffective communication leads to misunderstandings, and misunderstandings can lead to the eventual loss of the relationship. And we don't want that, do we? That would be a real shame. We are social animals. We need good relationships, otherwise we feel miserable. Considering the time that we spend at work, having good relationships and having a good communication is of very high importance. Miscommunication not only wastes time, it creates stress and leads to workplace conflicts, which leads in turn to unproductivity. On the other hand, clear, effective communication improves teamwork, leadership, and career growth. And for those changes alone, mastering workplace communication isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's a necessity. When we communicate effectively, we save time, we reduce stress, and prevent unnecessary conflicts, which prevents stress, which makes us all feel much nicer at work. It fosters stronger relationships, which, as social beings, are crucial for our well-being and professional success. The good news is that communication isn't just an innate talent. People aren't just born being good communicators. It's a skill that can be learned and improved. And it starts with understanding how we process information, how we convey our thoughts, and how we listen. First, we recognize the problem, then we find the solution. It's essential to fix because your ability to communicate effectively can define your career trajectory and the very quality of your life. Whether you're managing a team, leading meetings, or simply trying to collaborate better, these strategies will help you speak with clarity, reduce misunderstandings, and build stronger workplace connections. Before we jump in, tell me in the comments, what's the biggest communication challenge you face at work? I'd love to hear your experiences. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel if you want more tips and advice on how to become a better communicator. I have a ton of free content coming your way. I'm so excited. Right, let's dive right into it. Cognitive complexity, the secret to better communication. The key idea here is that the more detailed and nuanced your perception of people and conversations are, the better you communicate. For example, this leaf is green. You can just say it's green, right? Because it's green, right? But actually, if you look a little bit closer, it's an array of green contrasts. Some yellow, orange, and even brown. It's beautiful. According to Bruce Lambert, cognitive complexity refers to the number, abstractness, and integration of the dimensions we use to perceive and interpret the social world. The more constructs we have, the more nuanced and sophisticated our understanding of people and situation, allowing us to communicate more effectively. In other words, Bruce Lambert says that cognitive complexity is the ability to perceive social interactions with depth and nuance. So instead of perceiving a social interaction as green, like the leaf we said previously, we see it green, brown, orange, and a little bit yellow. The more dimensions you use to understand people, the more effectively you can communicate in the workplace. Here, the idea is to nuance your understanding of people and situations, to make them more rich, and hence, find more solutions. Like Bruce Lambert says in his video, it's like seeing the world in high-definition color instead of a low-resolution black and white. And it's exactly that. No problem is completely black and white. It's lots of different arrays of grays and white and black, but it's not just white and black. The more nuance you give to things, the better you can understand them. We're not robots, we're humans with complex systems and emotions. Of course, nothing is white and black. Here's a concrete example. Imagine you have a manager who is sometimes critical in meetings. The emotive responsive to the manager would be labeling them as mean or unreasonable. But the high cognitive complexity response to the same leader and manager would be to call him direct or result-oriented or stressed under tight deadlines, which is probably all the things that he is, rather than just being mean and just being obsessed with being mean to you. Most of the times, the problems aren't about us. I know we like to think so, but they're not. Most of the problems are with the people themselves. We have to be understanding of that. I think we can all be kinder to each other and to ourselves. This shift of mindset helps you respond appropriately and professionally to any given situation, rather than emotionally, in a knee-jerk reaction and taking feedback personally. Here's a practical tip here. To improve your cognitive complexity, you can expand how you describe people, so expand your vocabulary of adjectives. So instead of saying she's nice, try defining why you think she's nice for you. For you, because of course, you're you and you're subjective. What are the qualities you like, more precisely? Maybe she's thoughtful or empathetic or a great listener. Try to think precisely why you think she's nice and what are the qualities and values she has that you like. This skill will help you speak more effectively and clearly by tailoring your approach to different personalities in the workplace to be more clear and more precise. Second point we're going to see today, structure and self-control in difficult conversations. The idea here is that especially tough conversations require clear structure to avoid emotional reactions and miscommunication. Yeah, because when we have an emotional reaction, we usually miscommunicate. Here, you can couple cognitive complexity and structure for maximum efficiency. The first way of dealing with a difficult situation is this. Use a clear structure. Use the power of framing. This is an idea that is also used by Dan O'Connor. In his video, he explains that the concept of reframing is to shift away from blame and to move towards problem solving. Here, O'Connor says to start with you and ask the other person for their point of view on that particular situation. Remember, we are all subjective beings. We see things through our own lenses. So this is how O'Connor says to use structured phrasing. State the situation factually, express how it made you feel, and then ask for their perspective. So here's a concrete example of this situation. Instead of saying, "You're always interrupting me in meetings," maybe try this. This morning during our project meeting, I noticed I was cut off a few times. It made me feel very frustrated because I felt like I couldn't really share my ideas properly. What do you think? Am I just imagining this? This approach allows for a more efficient communication because it avoids blame, something that will only put the other person on the defense, and focuses on facts, therefore inviting constructive discussion instead of conflict, and therefore moving towards solution finding, problem solving. Isn't that great? Another way of communicating more efficiently in difficult situations is to use Adriana Gilder's technique, the 10-second rule. Here, Adriana Gilder says that before responding emotionally, you should take 10 seconds to breathe and gather your thoughts. And for high-stakes conversations, you should wait 24 hours before replying to an email or to a request. Before moving on to our next part, have you learned anything so far? If you have, and if this video is useful to you, please let me know by hitting that like button. If you want more tips on how to enhance your communication, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I give you free expert communication advice every week. The third part of our communication tips is this. Over-communicate for clarity and efficiency. The key idea here is that most people absorb less than you think. So repeating key points ensures clarity. We often assume that once we say something, others immediately understand and remember it. However, research shows that we consistently overestimate how much information people actually retain. According to a Stanford University study, this is one of the leading causes of miscommunication in workplaces and project management. The assumption that everyone is on the same page simply because you said something once. Yeah, of course, you know what you're talking about because you've researched it, because you prepared your presentation. But most people, they're just listening and hearing this for the first time. This means that even when we think we've been clear, there's a good chance that our message hasn't fully landed. The takeaway here? Over-communicating critical points or repeating yourself isn't redundant. It's essential to make your message clear and impactful. Here's what to do to avoid this type of miscommunication. Reinforce key ideas multiple times using different wording. If someone hasn't understood you, don't repeat the same thing. Try to rephrase it. You know, we often do that actually. When someone says, "What?" we actually just repeat the same words in the same way. If they haven't understood the first time, they're not going to understand the second time. Rephrase. Summarize important messages at the end of conversations and emails. Summarizing is not only a good thing for others, it's also a really good thing for us. It makes us clarify the important bits of information that have been said and write them in a succinct way that is often much clearer than long phrases. Thirdly, ask colleagues to repeat instructions back to you in their own way to confirm understanding. This is just a way for you to confirm with them that they've actually understood what you said, instead of them understanding what they thought you said. So here's a concrete example. Imagine you're giving instructions for an upcoming client meeting. Prepare a report on sales trends. Clarify. To make your message clearer and more impactful, clarify this sentence by saying, I need a 3-page report, summarizing our Q1 trend sales, focusing on growth areas and challenges. Please email it to me by Friday at noon at the latest so I can review it before the end of Friday. Much clearer, isn't it? This reduces misunderstandings and increases efficiency. So here are 2 practical tips to take away from this part. After explaining something, ask the listener to repeat it back to you. This ensures that you know that they have understood what you said fully instead of what they interpreted. Careful of phrasing, don't sound condescending. Use multiple formats, verbal, written, visual, to reinforce key information by repetition to ensure the message gets through and sticks. 4th part of today's video, active listening and perspective taking. The key idea here is that effective communication isn't just about what you say, but how well you listen. First mistake that we do here is preparing our response while the other person is still talking. Unfortunately, as much as we would like to think so, we cannot do 2 things at the same time. Most of us aren't actually listening when people are talking to us. We're just waiting for our turn to speak. And that's just rude, isn't it? Isn't it? It's not very respectful for the person speaking, is it now? Great communicators focus fully on the other person before formulating a response. And what do you want to be? Do you want to be a great communicator? Give people your time and attention. You will see it comes back tenfold. It's amazing. You want to be that kind of leader. Here are a few solutions to enhance your listening skills. First, when someone is talking to you, try not to do anything at the same time. If you're typing away on your phone at the same time as someone is talking to you, you're not really listening. And also, it might frustrate the other person. It's not very kind. Same thing if you're on your computer. Just stop typing for 2 minutes. Fold your laptop closed and listen to them. Most of the time, it will only take 2 minutes. But the feeling that you'll give the person you're listening to is amazing. They will feel so grateful for your time. Trust me. If not on your phone or your computer, if someone is talking to you, do a little check with yourself. Midway through, ask yourself if you're really listening. If yes, great. If not, ask them to repeat politely, and this time, tune in. If you feel distracted during a conversation, ask yourself really and honestly if you can focus, or if you should just ask them to tell you this another time because your mind will be freer. That's okay. That's okay. We're not always in the mindset to listen to people, so just be honest and say it. I'm really sorry. I don't have time. I'm a bit stressed right now, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer correctly. Can we talk about this in an hour? Thanks so much. Really? People don't mind, As long as you remember to say, oh, I'm so sorry. You were saying earlier, tell me, I'm free now. It's really cool. Really, really cool. Before answering, ask if you've understood what they say. You can use the mirroring technique here. When you answer, pause for a second after they finish speaking before answering. It gives you time to restructure your mind, and it gives you time to structure your response. It also keeps you time to put your emotions in check. Stay calm, breathe, and then respond. When you use mirroring is the communication technique that consists of summarizing what the other person just said before responding. Be sure to listen carefully to what the person is saying, not what you think they're saying. Your interpretation of what they just said. Different people interpret words differently. So if you're not sure about the interpretation of that person about a certain word, ask them to define that word to you. It will make sure that you understood their message properly and clearly, and you can respond properly. Make sure you know what this means to them. Instead of assuming, just ask exactly what a certain words they are using means to them. This ensures alignment and mutual understanding. It also ensures efficiency, because you don't have to, talk for ages to answer their request. 5th point of our video today, emotional control. I know, you saw it coming, right? The key to professional confidence. The idea here, as you know, is when emotions take over, communication suffers. That is why it's so important to learn to stay composed under pressure. When we get emotional, whether it's stress, anger, or frustration, our brain shifts to survival mode. This happens because the amygdala, the part of our brain responsible for processing emotions, hijacks our rational thinking. This is what happens. Instead of calmly analyzing a situation, we react impulsively, often saying things we don't mean or misinterpreting what others are saying with our own feelings. Why does this hurt communication? Well, we instantly lose access to logic and clarity. Our brain prioritizes emotions over rational thought. Our listening ability drops dramatically. We stop really hearing what the other person is saying and start preparing our next emotional response instead. We become reactive instead of intentional, responding based on feelings rather than the actual message. Basically, everything that we've seen so far in this video just goes out of the window. Think of it like this. Your brain is a car engine. When everything is running smoothly, the engine stays cool, and you can drive with control and precision. But when emotions take over, it's as if your engine is overheating. The dashboard lights up with lots of warning signals, and suddenly you can't drive properly. If you keep pushing forward without cooling down, you risk a breakdown, or in communication terms, an argument, a misunderstanding, an emotional outburst, and that can leave lasting damage. The solution here? Cool the engine before you keep driving. Stop a second, take a breath, take a deep breath, pause, and give yourself time to reset before responding. This is where the techniques like the 10-second rule or the 24-hour rule are powerful. They allow the brain to switch back to logical, clear thinking so you can communicate efficiently without leaving lasting damage. So, to use a real-life example here, if a manager gives harsh feedback, that manager again. Here, your instinct might be to defend yourself, which is completely normal. But instead, because you're an amazing communicator, respond with this. I see your point. Can you clarify how I can improve in that area according to you? This instantly diffuses tension and positions you as a calm, collected professional. It helps you focus on facts rather than emotions, helping your engine stay cool and the driver collected. When faced with emotional triggers, it also helps to mentally reframe the situation to yourself. Most times, we are far too harsh to ourselves. Instead of "they're attacking me," think this: "they're giving me data to improve." You're a computer, information and reality is your data, and you just have to recalculate to find a solution. That's all it is. This way, you continue to listen rather than desperately pushing buttons on your overheating dashboard. For a practical guide and a step-by-step list to follow, be sure to download my free professional communication guide in the description below. It's packed with practical scripts and exercises to help you speak more efficiently at work. That's it for today, my friends. If this video has helped you, if you learned even one little tiny new thing, make sure to hit that like button to let me know. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. You now have all the keys to mastering workplace communication: cognitive complexity, structured conversations, clear over-communication, active listening, and emotional control. Do you think you really have absorbed all this information? Try explaining it to someone around you. It will reinforce your understanding and help you retain everything better. Plus, it shares communication skills around you, fostering a better communication environment. And that's nice, right? If only everyone could know how to communicate better, this place would be such a nice place to live in. Let's do that. You'll see that by applying these efficient communication strategies, you'll immediately notice a real difference in your professional communication. And maybe your personal communication. Let's see. I truly hope this video was helpful for you. Feel free to share it around with others to spread the desire to communicate better and to become better versions of ourselves. I'll see you soon in the next video, my friends. Until then, take care, follow your passion, and express yourself. Always speak up. Ciao, ciao.